All of you beautiful people, Jules here for WhatCulture.com, and I want to talk to you today about video game fixes that ended up breaking everything. Oh dear, I've dropped the pie on the floor, there's ants crawling all over it, do you want a slice? That's basically this list. And this is the thing, making video games is an incredibly hard process. Think about the sheer amount of code. It would look like the Matrix just flying in front of your eyes, just trying to log into work. So you will have to expect that there will be some bugs that make it through to the final code. However, that's what patches are for. We hope that they will be fixed, right? However, sometimes these fixes introduce even more problems, which is the focus of today's list. Basically, adding bees to the ants that are on that pie that I spoke about earlier. Do you still want a slice? Yeah, I thought not. Anyway, I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 6 video game fixes that actually broke everything. Number 6, the culling, streamlining. So the Culling was a 16-player battle royale which did its best to go up against the likes of PUBG and Fortnite. Many have tried and failed to do the same, and unfortunately, the Culling, it's definitely on the down and down. Initially in early access, the Culling charmed players with its inclusion of crafting and trap making, on top of the overall loop of randomized items in a free-for-all setting. However, as the numbers dwindled, for some reason the developer did everything they could to patch in fixes for the game that unintentionally lowered the already low player count, because they released an update that was simply put too much for the fan base, in that it streamlined the experience so that randomness, which is the main drawing point of battle royale games, was completely swapped for player choice. Now in theory that sounds fine, you don't have to worry about that drop being a garbage special weapon or fiddle around with boring, badly designed perks, but in practice this was not the case. Random drops were swapped for weapon stores, and lesser perks were just completely changed or removed. On top of this, the devs took up a big obsession with cosmetics, rather than tending to the core gameplay mechanics and making sure that the endgame portion of their game was exciting as possible. In short, they chased skins over meat on the bones. Number 5, Destiny 2, Curse of Osiris. Destiny 2's first expansion pack, The Curse of Osiris, came with a whole host of issues for the game's higher-tiered players who weren't interested in buying the DLC. With every new Destiny content update, the game's power level shifts. This had been the case since the release of Destiny 2. And power is your gear score and dictates which activities you can realistically complete based on damage output and intake. And Curse of Osiris raised the power requirements for every activity, which was a natural progression for the game. However, the prestige or harder version of the only raid, Leviathan, was moved to the vanilla cap of 300, and this cap was unreachable without the Curse of Osiris expansion, meaning that less interested fans couldn't access the content that they previously owned. Other lockouts included the weekly Nightfall Strike and Iron Banner player versus player mode, and the issues don't stop there though, as the prestige level lock stopped completionists gaining the achievement associated with finishing this high level version of a raid. Thankfully though, these were patched out in a later update, but for a while, God, it was a bit of a wasteland out there. Number 4, Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled microtransactions. Now this is not so much breaking as it is alienating any long-term hardcore fan that such a game might have. Activision said time and time again that there would be no paid content in the new Crash Team Racing game besides the 2 versions of the game. Yet months after release, in an effort to solve a problem that Beenox themselves had created, the ability to purchase in-game Wumpa coins through real-life payments was indeed added. Why would you want to log in each day, play daily races and earn their Wumpa coins the legitimate way, Activision asked, then answering for us, when you can literally just buy them. Now, plenty of games have microtransactions and plenty of people forgive them. However, when your PR leading up to the game's release specifically stated that no in-game purchases were going to be in there, yeah, of course people are going to get more than a little upset about this. And developers Beenox, clearly squeezed by publishing giant Activision, felt what little backlash that players could offer them, and many just simply left the game and others complained online. Number 3, Fallout 76, that very first patch. Yes, we all don't like the big, bad, stinky Fallout 76. Don't worry, everyone knows how bad the game is or was or is again, depending on how you look at things. But you have to remember that even when they tried to fix things, they did such a pathetic job. And this is the thing, there was a lot that needed to be patched. I mean, there was like tons of bugs. There was people getting accidental invisibility, getting all of the codes to the nukes and firing them straight away, which crashed servers. This needed to be fixed. Well, the first patch looked to try and fix some of these issues, but sneakily added in loads of new nerfs and changes that made fans even more upset. Things like weaker and harder to produce fusion cores, lower spawn rates of legendary creatures, and reduced melee damage. That was all par for the course for this patch. And on top of this, there were frame rate drops, disconnects, carry weight, loss of user stashes, and just for good measure, the re-implementation of duplication glitches. Seriously, sort it out. Number 2. CounterStrike Global Offensive, the R8 Revolver. The R8 Revolver's release is one of the most infamous updates in Valve's history, only trailing slightly behind the announcement that the members of iBuyPower would be immediately banned for match fixing. And when it was added in, players flocked in to test out the R8 because they had heard that it was overpowered and a bit of a broken mess of a weapon. And they were right, as this gun would one-hit opponents from almost any reasonable distance, rarely two-shotting depending on the enemy's armor situation. This means that whereas usually you'd have to save up $4,000 for the AWP sniper or getting close with a shotgun, you've now got a one-shot kill in the form of a cheap pistol. As stated in their damage control announcement on the 10th of December 2015, barely 2 days after the new gun had dropped, Valve had made a mistake. The values were too high and the gun was too cheap. To rectify this, they added a 0.007 seconds of shot delay and dropped the damage output from 115 to 86. Now, in terms that we'd understand, this meant that the revolver went from a one-shot kill almost anywhere on the body at a reasonable distance to being a two-shot weapon. A simple and understandable change that put the revolver out of everyone's inventory as quickly as it went in. And number 1, Dead by Daylight, the Wake Up. Dead by Daylight is no stranger to weird bugs and patches that fix one issue and break several others in the process. Mix that in with the fact that the game is in a constant shift based on new killers, perks, maps, and changes to the meta, and the game's health is always just, well, basically at risk. It's successful, but always just like, oh god, please don't fall over. Take June 2019, for example. With the release of Ghostface to the game, who offered a new stealth and marking ability, we saw a huge unintentional buff to Wake Up. Weirdly enough, though, this perk had nothing to do with Ghostface and was released years earlier with the Nightmare on Elm Street chapter. In summary, Wake Up allows survivors to open exit gates 15% faster. Generally, it's not great and would rarely be used in top-tier builds. However, as of the 3.00 update, which lasted a month or so, that individual buff to opening gates now affected every survivor action. Healing, repairing generators, unhooking, even synergizing with other perks offering stackable bonuses. This meant that if you paired it with Prove Thyself, you could see an over 30% increase to your generator speed. Pair it with the Resilience and Spine Chill perks, which together added 15% increased vault speed, and you can now jump over windows as fast as the bloody Flash. And like I said, this lasted for a month, and for a while the game was, well, it was like operating on 1.5 speed. And there we go, my friends. Those were 6 video game fixes that actually ended up breaking everything. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below, as well as any other suggestions that you might have, because who knows, we might do a comments edition further down the line. If you want to chat to me further, you can do so over on Twitter at RetroJ, or you can swing by Live and Let's Dice as my personal gaming channel, where I do streaming every Wednesday and Sunday. But before I go, I just want to say one thing to you, my friend. We detailed today about video game fixes that ended up breaking everything, and I want to extrapolate something from that message and apply it to our real lives. Just because you're experiencing problems in your life, be they physical or mental, does not mean that you are broken. You should never go forward with that mental attitude, because you, my friend, you are a big ledge. You deserve love, happiness, and success. We all have our down days, we all have our issues, and we all should feel comfortable being able to speak to friends, family, and professionals in the support industry if they are getting too much. But that does not mean that you are broken. No one should be trying to fix you. You just need a bit of love and a bit of support. And I hope that you get that. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye.